Me and thanks. Oh my God, that was loud. Um, and thanks to everybody who showed up. That's really fantastic. I just want to say that it's freezing in New York today, so I had to dress warmly. But because I was doing this talk, I'm wearing my Captain Haddock sweater that a friend gave to me. Okay. Hi. As thank you, Alana. So as Jenny mentioned, I started the circulating collection here back in 2005 when we had 3 titles, and we now have roughly 24,000 titles in 24 languages. And I then was kind of uh, brought into archives when I did not even work in rare books. I worked in the division that buys for the circulating collections when Chris Claremont offered his papers to us back in 2010. And they created this job for me in 2016, late 2016. When I used to be the librarian for ancient and medieval history, and they moved me up to rare books, and I'm very, very happy because now all I do is comics. In 2017, I think it's been a while, a man named Mark Nevins, whom many of you may actually know, contacted me and said that he had the best private collection of European bande dessinée and comics. Best private collection, he thought, which I thought was a bold statement. But he said it's been in storage for a while and he never goes there, and would Columbia like it? I said, well, can you give me a list? And he said, no. And I said, okay, can you give me a rough idea? And he said, maybe. So he ended up sending us 50 boxes of bande dessinée, British comics, American comics, some Asian comics, comics periodicals from all over the world, fanzines, comic books, mostly from like the 80s, 90s, and mini comics, a whole lot of mini comics. And when they first arrived, I was not yet in rare books. So I could not make assumptions about what rare books would or wouldn't do. And we have basically one guy who does the cataloging of our circulating materials. And I thought, I'm not going to suddenly hit him with 1,000 mini comics. He will never do anything for me again. But I didn't want them to just be on a finding aid, just listed on a finding aid. I wanted them to be more widely findable. I wanted them to be an OCLC. And I kind of cracked on about that for a while. And a cataloger who worked here at the time, named Amber Billy, came up with an idea. And it was something I am about to show you. She created this Google form. Can everybody see that? So she created this Google form, and it's very simple. There's an ID. If there's a WorldCat number, you put it in. Is it a monograph, serial, sheet kit, other, title, subtitle, author, artist, or if it's a collaboration, author, artist, additional contributors. I usually, if like there's colorists or cover artists, I usually put them there. Publisher location, publisher, date of publication, which if any of you have tried to catalog mini comics, you know that is a big frickin' problem. So there's a lot of blanks there. Then page numbers, the size, volume, issue, if that's relevant, notes, if they're important, if it's got an ISBN or an ISSN, it goes here, and then what collection it's from. And that is actually a later addition to this form, because originally this was just Mark Nevins. But then MK Reed contacted us, and she was moving to Portland and offered her mini comics collection. Okay, so I took that. And then Gary Panter contacted us and said, do you want my mini comics collection? Yeah, I do. And then I had my own mini comics collection, which I had not actually accessioned, but in March 2020, on Friday the 13th, when we were told that the library would be open for 2 hours on Monday the 16th for us to take whatever we needed for work from home projects, I thought, well, maybe I'll start entering my mini comics collection into this form. So I filled all these tote bags and took them home, and that became my work from home project. I left a little something out. What happens after you fill out this form is that the results, after you click submit, go to a spreadsheet. And Amber set this up so that this data could be exported into either MARC records or EAD records, depending on, or EAD format, depending on what you wanted to do with it. And I'm very proud to show you that we are up to 3,054 inventoried, because now when I have a reading room shift, I just take a stack down with me and I, I work on them. And I work on some from home as well still. When the Nevins collection was first getting inventoried, it was an intern, a cataloging intern from library school who it was given to. And she got through like maybe 300 or 400 in the summer that she worked for us. And then it pretty much sat fallow for a while. But then this work from home thing happened, which was only going to last like what, a couple of months, right? But it lasted a little bit longer. And so that became my thing. I sat at my computer, which they at home, which they had set up so that I could access my desktop. And they so I had access to all the things that are only available through the desktop. And I spent all day long entering mini comics. There are, as I mentioned, lots of challenges. Sometimes I have a lovely thing here. Where is it? Where's my, is that visible now? Are you seeing images? Okay. So this is in the Gary Panter collection, Beardo Fuddies. We do have a date, 2007. We have the number 2 on both issues. We have no names anywhere, no places anywhere, nothing that indicates a place anywhere. I do a lot of crowdsourcing. I will take these photos and I put them up on Twitter and I put them up on Facebook and I put them on Blue Sky and I say, who knows how to help? I also use this resource. Do people know Poop Sheet Foundation? Yeah, so Poop Sheet Foundation isn't infallible, but it's really good. And I do get a lot of no results found, but this is what Gary himself saw my appeal on Beardo Fuddies, and he said, it's probably Devin Flynn. So I looked up to see if there was any Devin Flynn info in Poop Sheet, and sadly there was not, but I'm working on it. While I was doing the beginning, while I was starting on the inventory during work from home, I was posting cool things that I found on Facebook, and our head of cataloging was a Facebook friend, and she contacted me and said, hey, Karen, I see you're doing this interesting inventory project. My catalogers need work from home projects. Is there any way that we can take your inventory and turn them into records? I'm like, oh, yes, there is. So they decided that they would create batch records that I'm going to show you. Where is it? Oh, see, now I have to do this thing that I didn't want to have to do. Don't get old, guys. Where is it? Ah, here. Okay. So this is an example of what the batch records look like. And all of you actual catalogers will be extremely amused at the 588 field, which says description generated from Curator supplied data. So, you know, they're taking no responsibility for anything that shows up in this. Another thing you might notice, if I go back to the results, is this is the WorldCat ID field, and there's a fair number that have, but there's a much larger number that don't have. So we are creating WorldCat records that others hopefully will be able to use and maybe be able to include more information on. Now, how are we going to keep track of them? How are we going to make them findable? The first run through of this process back with the intern in 2017, 2018, we had just these little slips of paper on which she wrote a number. And that's what this number is, the mini comics number over here. And that was going to become its call number. But at first I was trying to keep everything separated by collection. But that became untenable because what we ended up deciding was to make it make the whole mini comics a book collection, and then be able to separate them into the 710 field that was established for the Karen Green mini comics collection, the MK Reed mini comics collection, the Mark Nevins. The Gary Panter one is created, but I hadn't, the ones that I've cataloged haven't been batched yet. In fact, only about half of them have been batched so far for reasons unclear, but probably because we're no longer all just working from home. Catalogers are busier now. But the mini comic number is in fact the call number. So we took all the ones that had been done so far and we put them all in numerical order, essentially, because when we fill out the collection name at the bottom, that links it to that 710 field. So you could bring up all of the things that have been cataloged for Mark Nevins, and you see all the various numbers. And book collections here are given like a dedicated space in our shelves. And I'm about to reveal to you a very small glimpse of our stacks, which are kind of horrifying. I was explaining earlier that my library was built in 1934 as a closed stacks library. So the stacks are extremely utilitarian and narrow and don't really hold boxes well. They are meant for books. But we have, these are still in the boxes that I bought at home when I was doing this. But now we have supplies of archivally approved short boxes and bags and boards that went through a rigorous approval process from our conservation department. And what you can't see is that each one of these has like the beginning and ending number of the mini comics that are in each box. Over here are oversize. So to go back to the results, you can see that some of these have an OS suffix after the number. So that's an indication that it's going to be found in the oversize area. I have a strong suspicion I'm going to have to go back and fudge this a bit because some of the stuff is so big that it needs to go into a flat box. Like, you know, like any kind of tabloid size, like Smoke Signals from Desert Island or whatever, doesn't fit in because we don't want it folded. We want to be able to flatten it out. So it goes into a flat box. And that's, so we've got kind of like a I mean, it's almost like book collections. We've got regular, folio, flat, and F flat for like super, super huge. And I think that's going to end up being the way we sort the mini comics as well. In terms of issues, and there are issues, if it's a serial and I don't have the first issue, I have maybe issues 2 and 7, and there's no WorldCat record, and I can't find anything online. I do a lot of searching, you know, a lot of Googling. I appeal to people if I can find their email address. But if I can't figure out when number 1 was published, then the WorldCat record is only going to have the information that I have for issue 2 or 3 or whatever, which is the year that it was actually published. And so that's a problem. It would be really great to be able to track down when each of these things originated, but that's a big task. What constitutes a mini comic? That is something that my colleagues are asking me continually. This is kind of big. Why is this a mini comic? Or like, this is from it's got an ISBN. It's from a publisher. Why is this a mini? You know, it's not self-published. It's not mini. It's not. And I say it's like Justice Potter Stewart said about pornography. I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it. So there's issues. Um, and sometimes there's issues that don't actually have anything to do with cataloging. I wanted to share this blog post in Mark Nevin's, this beautiful Ron Regé, well, it's actually from CF, but it's got a Ron Regé cover, Burning. And when I opened it, I found it had a match and a little burn space. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to put an active match into our $1 billion valued rare books collections. Sure, I'll do that. So I didn't do that. I took it down to conservation, and they neutralized the head, and they put a fixative around here so that the pages, the burnt areas, wouldn't crumble. And then they built this lovely box for it, not even like our classic fourfold. This is like a fancy, fancy box that has a little note saying match was treated by conservation. And that's what it looks like on the shelf. And I just think it's hilarious that this, $5 mini comic probably had a couple $100 worth of supplies and labor expended on it. But to make it accessible and preservable and safe. I'm not sure, I have like examples I could show like this. I don't know if you can see it. Mark Nevin's had a whole bunch of these from Nicholas Mahler. They're not cataloged anywhere. There's not really a good web page that refers to them. Some of them have subtitles, some of them don't. They've got odd numbers. This one, I don't know if you can see, it's number 472, which I really doubt that it's number 472. Like sometimes these numbers are extremely random. Sometimes you get, you get a title and an author, but you don't get anything about time or place. And it's again, is it a mini comic if it's just a bunch of drawings? Well, hell yeah. Of course it is. What's wrong with you? But these are questions that I get asked. There's one thing in the Mark Nevin's collection that literally has no title, no author, no year, no publication information. And, I put up pictures of it. Nobody had any idea what it was. So that one is still in the box waiting for me to figure out how I'm going to deal with it. But it'll probably end up being, square bracket, untitled, square bracket. Square bracket SL, square bracket SD, so these are kind of the main issues. And I think I've covered everything that I was going to cover. I think I had some other slides, but they're just kind of, so this was in the Gary Panter collection. Pay no attention to this bottom half. That's my dress. This is the title, I think. In this kind of quasi-graffiti, quasi-metal lettering. This looks like a Y kind of right here. This looks like it might be an A. I don't know. I posted about this and somebody had like a suggestion of a piece of it, but it was not helpful. No title, no other title, no other author information, no anything. This one, this is beautiful. Look at that beautiful art. What's her last name? Care to venture a guess? Is it Hooglove? Is it how? It turns out to be Hoagland. This is a D. Come on. Okay, okay, great. It's a D, but I've got her name. It's fabulous, and but that was a crowdsourced one. This gorgeous series from the UK called Inklings, or The Inkling. 3 issues are numbered. The others have no discernible numbers. The editors appear to be Dave and Aidan Potts. Doesn't appear to be held by any other library. Patrick O'Mallett, if any of you know him, he said, "Oh, I know those guys. Here's their email." So I sent up an email, so excited, never heard back. So they're still sitting in inventory limbo. But this is what we're doing. And when mini comics came up at the CSS research librarian cohort session in July 2022, I said, well, we've got this thing and I'm pretty sure we can share it with anybody. And I went to our head of cataloging and I said, can we share this? Well, of course you can share this. So I can, send or share these forms with anybody. I honestly don't know how the setup for the spreadsheet works, but I'm betting one of you does, or more than one. And I'm happy to send to share the form, the spreadsheet, and that list of batch records, sample batch records for anybody who's interested in doing this at their place and seeing if it works. Right now, we still just let me see if I can hold on. So this is the box I'm filling right now. And you can see it's just a lot of things with slips in them in numerical order. We are in the process of getting bags and boards that conservation did not nix, which they nixed a lot of. But it's frustrating because all the bags, even the archivally happy bags, have the big flap on them because they're intended to be taped, but tape is like the worst thing ever because the item catches on it when you pull it out often. But they're really stiff on the archival ones. So I'm like, well, maybe we could just tuck it in. And Alexis Hagedorn, our head of conservation, is like, no, that will, the edges, the corners will start to, I'm like, well, maybe we could just, put the lid down and they would, bend like a reed. And she's like, no, that wouldn't, no. So every suggestion I had got nixed. And, the ending suggestion was, well, maybe we could just cut off, on the slicer. But, we're talking about thousands and thousands of these things. So that's going to be a fun job for somebody. And I think that's all I had to talk about. And I would be happy to entertain any questions if people have questions, or to listen to suggestions if people have suggestions. I haven't actually even looked at the chat to see if things are coming up over there.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, there's some lively chatter questions in chat. But your comments make me think that maybe we should be producing a comics librarian's guide to making mini comics. And start passing it
as
out.
A mini comic.
Start passing it out and putting all the things that should be included somewhere on your mini comic. And that could be something we take to cons, to conventions and festivals.
I love that idea. How do I distinguish between a mini comic and a zine? That's a really good question, because we actually also have this massive fanzine collection, which is going to get the same treatment as this. Right now, I just have Google spreadsheets that I created before I got involved in all this. I feel like a mini comic is something that is almost entirely art, and a zine has more essays or written matter. I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. But if I find a zine in the collection as I'm going through, unless it's just really obviously nothing to do with comics, in which case I offer it to Jenna Friedman, the Barnard Zine librarian, then I do remove it from the collection because it does seem wrong. You don't have to see them if they're boxed. There's always paper envelopes. Yeah, I didn't. Yes, I know about the Zine Union catalog. What would you really disagree with, Matthew? I'm not sure what that's a response to.
About zines being mostly words.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
very, very disagree with that.
That's cool. I'm just mostly looking for stuff that's primarily comics.
Yeah.
Something in a mini comics collection. That's, I guess when I said art, that was probably wrong. I should have just said primarily comics. Because yeah, lots of zines are photographs and drawings and illustration and the like. Absolutely. Sorry, that was careless of me. Thank you, Matthew.
But it's not an easy line to draw. It's not an easy line to draw.
True.
Definitely. So Andrew?
Yeah, I'm really curious about the the cataloging side of it and some of the conversations you've had. This is coming from not a cataloger, right? I'm an archivist, so certain perspectives. But so you're using those. You're just giving them numbers, right, as a
Mhm.
call number. And I'm curious how the discussions went or how your catalogers felt about not using LOC, and if there's any like plans to move to LOC in the future, or how that all worked out.
They were not happy. They thought the number was crazy. And I said, well,
Okay.
we've already got 2,000 of them with numbers on them. And I just felt like coming up with an individual call number for all of that was more work than I wanted to put on anyone. It wasn't going to be something I could do. I'm not a cataloger, and I did not do well in cataloging in library school. I don't have that kind of brain. I admire people who do, but I don't. And I just felt as long as it was in a book collection, and the book collection is called Mini Comic, that's why it looks like that, you know, rare book, non-circulating, Mini Comic 00111. Mini Comic is the name of the book collection, like we have Smith and Seligman and all these other book collections. Mostly in our other book collections, they do use LC, but they're not as big as this. They're not as big in a small amount of space. You know, I mean, it's just, this is going to be thousands of titles, thousands of issues, and it just seemed easier to go with the numbers. The one thing I will say that I find irritating, and I'm not quite sure how they're addressing it, is that for series I have to do an entry for every issue, and that seems crowded. I don't, because I don't have a way to feed it into the holding section of our cataloging module.
Thank you.
No, no problem. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would just say my email is klg19@columbia.edu. I'm going to put it in there. So if you want to contact me afterwards, please feel free.
So we have a poll we were hoping to do. Maybe Karen, if you can unshare. Thank you. And thank you very much. We have a poll. We're curious to see what other folks are doing. And can everybody see that? Awesome. So library catalog record seems to be in the lead, followed by We Don't Have a Way.
Seems like everyone's stopped answering, so I'll end it. I think it'll show you on the screen. I'm not sure. Here we go. Is it showing? This is my first poll. I'm curious what the other is.
Does anybody have another way that they are cataloging their mini comics? Does anyone want to share any more about what you're doing, if it's different?
I can share a little bit about what we do at the Billy Ireland. So we are we similarly are putting everything, we're skipping the Google form part, which I wish we had thought of because it just looks much nicer. But we are just putting stuff directly into an Excel spreadsheet, which one of our catalogers long before Libby's time, and Libby I don't think has even seen this spreadsheet yet, came up with the fields for it. So similar to what Karen showed, you know, they are meant to correlate specifically to a MARC record whenever we inevitably, you know, someday integrate it. And I think we've got over 6,000 mini comics that we've entered into this spreadsheet so far. One thing that we do a little bit differently is when these collections come in, and we just have the luxury of having a different kind of space to work with our shelving and stuff, I will physically sort each collection by size and put a streamer in every single mini comic that says which collection it came from. So it can, one box that's a tiny box will have all tiny mini comics in it. So it's better for the pieces itself. So it can be stuff from a bunch of different collections, but it's still all within the same size. So it's just better for the piece, but can still intellectually be found and sorted by its collection through the spreadsheet. And we also include in one of our fields material type. We don't, it's a lot of like my interns and volunteers and students that have worked on this collection, and we don't expect them to list material type for every single thing. But we work with a lot of classes that are interested in seeing, you know, artist books and things similar to artist books. So I want to be able to look in the collection and say, oh, this thing has binding that's made of yarn, or this one has some weird, unique feature to it. So we're able to note that as well, so that I can find those specific things for those kind of classes that might want that. We haven't, like I said, yet turned any of them into MARC records. So we got to a point where we got so inundated with donations of mini comics that we thought, let's just try to get a control on what's here before we then integrate it. Karen, I was curious to know, like, how often does this spreadsheet get turned into library records, if that even makes sense? Because I barely understand that part of it. And we were like, let's just try to get all these done in Excel and then do it. But now it's been years and you can't find them on our website because they're just living in Excel.
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question. That's what I meant when I said, you know, if you click on, if you add up all the named collections, it comes to 1,804. So we've got 1,804 records in our OPAC, but I've inventoried over 3,000. And the woman who's been in charge of this is about to leave us. And I said, oh gosh, Charlotte, I sure hope that you're gonna push some more stuff through that before you go. And she's like, I will make sure I do. So I'm assuming she has not left yet because it's still at 1,804. I don't know who's going to be doing that afterward. I really don't know. It's apparently not difficult. It's easy to just do in a batch. But that's a cataloging process that I confess I have zero knowledge of. I would have to bring in our cataloging folk to talk about it.
Yeah, me too. And I think we just need to get to a stopping point and say, okay, let's get this online and then add more in a few years.
Exactly.
So we have another question, Karen, for names. Are you doing authority work on them? Wondering how a user would find all comics by a specific creator across the named collections.
Yes, I am doing authority work, and boy, does that slow me down. But yeah, and it's really challenging when people have a very common name, so that there's multiple people. I tend to just focus on people who were born after 1960, if the year is there. And then I, go into each one and I try to figure out, is that person a cartoonist? I like the ones where it's just cartoonist in parentheses after their name. I wish more authority records looked like that. But yes, I am doing authority work for that very reason. And I was strongly encouraged to do so by the cataloging staff.
Any other questions or comments, or anybody else have any other ways they're doing this work that they want to share? Yeah.
I'm jealous and I want that form. because I think it'll help us with a lot of things crosswalking into the main library catalog. At San Diego State, we do it through a finding aid. The only thing I think that I'm not sure I heard you say, do you do subject headings as well? So that's something that I think could be really cool. We use our zines and mini comics are in the same collection. They're in pamphlet boxes on the shelves, and they're bagged and boarded just in alphabetical order. And as they come in and get processed, our zines cataloger and mini comics will read them and choose from a zines thesaurus that exists, standardized subject headings. So that's been helpful for us, helping students use our zines and mini comics as well, so that they can kind of find it. The only questions I have there though too is putting zines and mini comics in the same collection works for us format wise, but I don't know if the zines thesaurus is always the best option for the mini comics subject headings. So
I'm looking at the records that are entered already, and it looks like the we have subject genre comics, graphic novels, and for everything, which is a truly irritating thing. It's like the foreign graphic novels, which just say Venezuela, comic books, comic strips, etc. Thank you. It's from Venezuela. I could tell that by the publication.
and
Exactly.
Any other comments? Questions?
I have a comment regarding the preservation. You mentioned your workers had to approve the what material is it? Is it Mylar? Like what exactly did they settle on between the bags and the boards?
It is PVC. There's a PVC, I believe it's a PVC of a certain thickness. I can find the email where the ones that they approved are listed and send that to, I guess, Pamela and Jenny to share. Or I guess I could, no, I won't share it just on Mobilize because there are people here who aren't on Mobilize. So I can send it to Jenny and Pamela to share with y'all.
Great.
I just want to thank you again for inviting me and for addressing something which I think is a much bigger topic than we imagine, and that is spoken of less than it should. This is the sort of kind of info sharing that I think this cohort is made for. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And I just put in chat a link to the membership of Comic Studies Society. We are going to be doing more forums. We're hoping for to do a forum each quarter. Most forums will be for members only. And so think about joining. It's really not very expensive for librarians. I believe it's $85, but you do get a subscription to Inks, which is the Journal of the Comic Studies Society. So I think it's very reasonable, and we would love to have all of you be members of our cohort. And you'll also be getting an email. We have some different ideas for future forums, and we'd like to hear from you all if you have ideas. So we're going to be probably sending out some kind of a form to get to see what people are most interested in talking about. We are also possibly looking at having a YouTube channel for members where recordings will be posted. So that's in the works. One of the other things that we're thinking about doing is having some kind of a summit, probably virtual, but maybe in person, where we look really carefully at who's collecting what and what's not being collected. And this we don't exactly know what kind of form this is, but we think this group might be a good one to tackle that, because we know there are some holes and some gaps of things that aren't getting collected. There are a lot of overlap, as you would expect, amongst our collections. But we're interested in, and as a group, as the comics librarians, looking at that issue, and partly the work of the Notable Collections project will help inform that as well. So those are kind of some of the things that the exec group has talked about and that we've got coming up. Maybe we need a whole session on how to house comic books. I don't know. That's might be a good idea. We've actually been using paper envelopes at Billy Ireland, and we're working with our conservators right now to determine if we want to continue doing that or if we want to switch to a different system. So it's a timely.
Have you seen the thing that LC has been using that was designed for them?
I don't think so.
It's a fourfold. It's not a fourfold. It's like a threefold with a Mylar window.
Oh,
Super freaking expensive.
yeah, I was gonna say it sounds expensive.
Yeah. I'm totally jealous.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think conservation is ultimately the cost versus it's all about cost, right? It comes down to what's affordable versus what's economical versus what's conservational.
Yeah.
I mean, here we use a combination of paper and archival Mylar, and Jenny, I know, has seen them fairly recently. I mean, ours are actually all Mylar because it's mostly a serialized collection. So, but an open acid-free boxes. So it is. It's. I think it sounds beautiful. It sounds great, but I also can see like a price tag. Like there goes all my budget for like a whole year, just one round. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. Thanks again, Karen. That was really helpful, and we'll be looking to get information out. I know a lot of you said that you did want to see the form. So Pamela, will we be able to email folks after this who attended?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, we hope to see